Good morning, gang. Happy Wednesday morning. All right, let's talk something very prepping today. Here it is. It's the couple of days after Christmas now. A lot of people on vacation. My guess is sometime over this past weekend or during this week, you're going to spend some time watching a movie with the family, right? And like a lot of people, it'll be a Christmas movie. Maybe Die Hard. Yeah, it's a Christmas movie. That's the side I come in on. Okay. Maybe you're going to watch, I don't know, the John Wick series. Maybe you're going to watch Saving Private Ryan, something of the sort. You know, all of them have something in common. A lot of gunfire, right? It's something we never talk about in the prepping community and really should, okay? Many times, many channels, including me, we've talked about all sorts of different health issues on holistic medicines or making sure that you get anything taken care of now, eyesight or blood pressure or whatever, get it taken care of now before all goes to hell, right? The one thing that never gets talked about is our hearing. I mean, I've talked about foot care. I've talked about different weeds in your yard that can be used for different sorts of ailments. But what about your hearing? I want to give you a little bit on hearing here real quick, just so you have an idea. Military veterans, okay? 87% of military vets have some sort of hearing problem, okay? Hearing disturbance included, okay? 75% have tinnitus, me included, okay? 50% have substantial hearing loss. Fortunately, I'm not that far. Okay? You look at it and you go, why? Well, when you're around gunfire, artillery fire, RPGs, tanks, even the loud vehicles, you have an issue. Now, go back earlier this year, and back in August, 3M, we all, Minnesota Mining and Manufacturing, we all know the company, who's been making earplugs for the military for years, finally settled a lawsuit with 229,000 people to the tune of $6 billion because the earplugs that they were providing the military were not sufficient to drown out the sound and protect their hearing. Okay? Now you may ask, it's like, okay, really, the guy's a cook or a clerk or how would they have hearing problems? 87%. Well, everybody goes through basic training. Everybody goes on a live fire range. Everybody has to qualify with what used to be an M16, now an M4. Okay. They make noise. You're like, it couldn't be that much. Have you ever fired a gun of any sort without hearing protection and realized how loud it is? I'll give you this. This may blow your mind, okay? A 22, your little rifle that you got when you were 12 years old, reaches about 140 decibels when fired. Sitting at the front row of a rock concert, you're experiencing about 110 decibels. How about that? Okay. Everybody, rock concert, oh my God, it's so loud. But firing a gun is 30 decibels louder. A 22, now imagine a 5.56, a 7.62, a 9mm, whatever you're firing, even louder. Okay. At exposure to 115 decibels, you risk permanent hearing damage in about 30 seconds. So let's think about this as preppers. You know, not only those of us that do own firearms, but those that don't. What sort of hearing protection do you have? I mean, the little earplugs, the ones that we were all given in the military, suck. 3M will tell you that part, okay? They're better than nothing, but they're not as effective as they could be. They're convenient, they're small. Put them in your ear canal, and you block out a lot of sound. Most of us who are shooters have the earmuff types, okay, whether over the head or behind your neck. Those are much better. Those should be a staple in your preps for any prepper, whether or not you own firearms or not. Because just because you don't own one, doesn't mean there's not going to be loud noises around you. If all of a sudden BLM comes in and decides to start shooting up your neighborhood, you might want hearing protection. Okay? I mentioned the movies at the beginning. And it's kind of funny because Bruce Willis wasn't crawling around the air vents at Nakatomi Plaza with earplugs in. Okay. Tom Hanks wasn't running around the battlefields of World War II with earplugs in. John Wick certainly not carrying earplugs. Okay. And it's funny because we have that, what's called in the theater industry or movie industry, momentary suspension of disbelief. All that gunfire going on around John Wick, for example. How in the world he isn't deaf? Who knows? Okay. Our minds don't think about that. We're there to be entertained, not to deal in reality. But you use any of the war films. I don't care if you're talking about Platoon or Hamburger Hill or any of them. A lot of good war films. War films have been made since the beginning of movies. It's always a good topic. Lots of explosions and, good cinematic experience. And you always see these scenes where an artillery shell goes off or a sniper is shooting or something. And all the guys, immediately turn and, firing rifles left and right, massive amount of bullets going through the air. And you see them yelling to each other back and forth, 50 yards, 20 yards away. Do you think they can actually hear each other? No. You watch a movie and the sounds of the explosions or the sounds of the gunfire are so muted compared to what they are in real life. And it's those movies that people think are going to be reality. It's not. Okay. There's no way in the world 20 feet, let alone 20 yards away, I'm going to be able to yell instructions or anything to somebody and they're going to be able to hear me. That's why in good movies, you see guys with hand gestures. It's not necessarily because they're trying to be stealthy. That's part of it, okay? It's the only way to communicate because they can't be heard. Upgrade military now, if you see these guys, they have helmets on with earmuffs, with mouthpieces, right? So they have electronic communication between each other. Now, that ain't affordable for most of us. But a simple pair of earmuffs you can get for under 20 bucks. You may not be the one firing the weapon, but if you're around it, you're still going to hear it. It may not just be a weapon. Chainsaws make a lot of noise. Any sort of machinery makes a lot of noise. The Chinese come over the hill. They ain't worried about your hearing. It's things like this that are the simple ones that we just kind of forget about. I had never thought, 3 years of doing this channel, I had never thought about this topic. Okay. Till all of a sudden it kind of popped in my head. I've got hearing protection. I'm a gun owner. Okay. Common sense. But what about the people in your mag who aren't going to be your defense, if you will? The kids. Maybe the older people in the group. Maybe they are, maybe they're not. Okay. Maybe some of the women, or depending on what each person's task is. But it doesn't matter, because whether or not the rifle is here in my arms and firing, or whether it's 30 feet away and firing, that noise is going to carry. Do yourself and everybody in your family a favor. Go pick up some hearing protection. Like I said, you can get good hearing protection for under $20. You don't need to go out and buy these $300 deals or whatever. Again, if you want to, go for it. But something is better than nothing. If you can knock down the decibels that you are exposed to, that's going to be great. Because there's a lot of things that you're like, oh, what am I going to do? Leave it in my gun safe? No, in an SHTF situation, you're probably going to have those things around your neck all day long. So as soon as something happens, you can flip them up. It's a cheap prep. But think about it. One little gun battle, and you could lose your hearing. I know there's a lot of people on this channel that watch, just by the age demographic, that probably have hearing aids. Maybe some of it's genetic. Maybe it's because of exposure to noises when they were younger, that they really wish they could take back their decision 10, 20, 30, 40 years ago. Think about it. Pinball out.